Nicole, and I'm back with a layout. This is using the February Hipkit. I was very excited to receive this in the mail yesterday, and I got, let me see, the embellishment pack, the main kit, and the Project Life kit. So right here I was just going through the papers trying to decide which two I was going to use for this idea I have, which is essentially to cut both pieces of paper in an X diagonally across, and then use two of the triangles to go horizontally across the page, and then the other two triangles from the other paper to go vertically across the page. I chose this blue cardstock from my collection. I believe it's Surf. And I want it to have a little bit of a 1/4 inch border around the edge. So I'm just cutting some of my design paper down so that you'll see that light blue border around the edges. So once I get them smaller, the two squares, then I will use my X-Acto knife and a ruler to cut across the page and make those triangles that I'm needing. So while I'm doing that, I'm going to say that as I got back into making process videos, I've hit a few hiccups with both of the two videos that I posted recently. The first one I forgot to put in high definition, and then the second one I got a new microphone and it had a little bit of back sound. So I believe I corrected both of those things. I'm praying to God that this video is a lot cleaner than the other ones, so bear with me, guys. I'm trying to get back in the game here and it's taking me some time. So I took a pencil first and I flipped to the B side of that paper that I'm not going to be using on my layout, and then I followed with a ruler across that line that I drew with pencil, and I'm just using my X-Acto knife to cut the paper. I found this was the easiest way to do it. So I have those two triangles, and now I layered them on top of each other to make the second cut. And I'm just using my mat here on my desk to sort of line everything up using the grid and make sure that my triangles are cut equally. So here I am finishing with the second cut. So originally I didn't want to cut so much into the design team paper. I was only going to use that half larger triangle, but then I realized one of the papers that I picked, this one here, has words across it. So if I did that, some of the words would be upside down on the paper, and I just didn't like the way that that looked. So I went ahead and cut into both and made 4 full triangles, and that's okay. I'll figure out other stuff to do, maybe with my silhouette machine, to use up that additional paper that didn't get used on this layout. So this took me some time. I sped a lot of this up and cut it out, but for whatever reason, getting everything lined perfectly and making sure that these triangles were all equal size just took me a minute. They were a little bit askew and I kept having to sort of make edits to them. So now here I am taking that piece of basil cardstock, the Surf color, and organizing my triangles in the design that I want. So since these two papers had writing across them, I knew I wanted them to be the horizontal triangles, and then I wanted the other design to be the top and bottom. So I'm lining them up and just going to lightly adhere them down and not around the edges, because I'm going to go to my sewing machine off camera and on the X part put a zigzag stitch, and then around the edges just a plain single stitch. So there were a few little pieces of the triangles that didn't meet perfectly, so it's exposing the cardstock underneath. And so before I go sew, I just wanted to ensure that my picture was going to go right in the center. I choose a few of those Project Life cards to start building my cluster around the picture, just to give me a sense of how big that cluster is going to be. So here I'm showing you the back side of the cardstock. I've done all the stitching and I used a little washi tape to sort of cover up the loose pieces of thread. I felt like the layout was looking a little too blue, gray, white, black, and I wanted to throw in some pinks and other tones and some of that mint green. So I picked this one Project Life card that has various colors of hearts on it, and I used that as an opportunity to start bringing in the other colors of this Hipkit Club packet it has a lot of pastels and like a pale yellow and a mint green, and I want it to include that. So I'm just fussing with all the cards here and making various layers, and I know I want to use some of the Pink Fresh Studio clips that came with it. So I'm just trying to layer everything so that they can be incorporated. Now that the base of my layout is completed, I'm going to begin looking at the various embellishments that come with this kit to kind of determine how I want to decorate the page. So first I take a look at those little pins, and then I'm also looking at the, I think it's Hello Fresh. Let me look right here. I have it in front of me. It is the Joyful Day, Pink Fresh Studios Joyful Day collection. I'm looking at the embellishments that came with that. I always dump the die cut packs on this little white tray that I got from, who knows, Tuesday Morning Marshalls, one of those places. And that just gives me an area to kind of sort through and pick out what I think is relevant to this particular layout, and then I can put the rest aside. And I always cut out the back of the packaging that shows everything that comes in the kit, kind of like the picture inventory. That way, as I use things, I can mark them off and know that I've utilized them, because later when I'm all done using this kit, whatever is left over, I will sort in my craft room, and I like to already know what I've used out of the pack when I return back to it later. So now I'm having a look at the frames that came with this pack, and there's 6 large frames and then a medium frame within those, and then a smaller frame. And I'm kind of just picking out ones that have colors that go with my layout, and I'm basically going to use those to sandwich in my picture. So I'm going to put a few on the left side and a few on the right side to sort of just add some texture to the layout. Cleaning up the photo cluster a little bit, cutting off any edges that are crooked, adding some of the Joyful Day paper clips that are really cute. They're gold paper clips with sort of a rubber embellishment glued to the top. And I end up using 2 of the 6 that come in the pack at different levels. So I have one on a lower piece of paper that's behind the photo, and then one on an upper piece of paper. All the embellishments and the photo cluster where it needs to be on this layout, and now I'm going back to those frames that I know I want to hug around the photo, and I'm just cutting them and sort of arranging them so that I can prepare to adhere them down. The Pink Fresh Studios Joyful Day collection also comes with these puffy phrase stickers, and they're really beautiful. They're written in a really nice cursive, and they come in all different pastel colors. And so I decided to use this green colored one to write the word memories right below the picture, and it worked out perfect. It sort of hugged the bottom of the picture, and the M extends to the left-hand side and fills that gap. So I thought it really came out nice. I had used my pencil to sort of just make reference marks of where I wanted all of the frames to go. Now that I've adhered them down, I'm just erasing them. I'm having a look at where everything's positioned so that I can begin laying my photo cluster on. I'm really a fan of this February kit. It has a lot of pastel and light colors, which is good for, basically documenting small children, and just this photo of my children. Every time we go and stay at a hotel, I always take a picture of them sleeping in the same bed. So I have several photos of them in the same bed every vacation that we've gone on. The other part of this kit that I like is that it has the Cartabella Marketplace, I think that's what it's called, collection. And so there's some bright reds and more Valentine's colors too. So if you wanted to do love layouts or things like that, it's just pretty diverse. It just depends on how you sort of pick what you're going to combine. And I just really like any kit that gives some diversity in what you can scrapbook. So it appears that I finally committed to laying that title down, and I put it really snug underneath the photo. I wanted the photo and that cluster and the title to sort of be the central focus of the layout, and I like how all the triangles sort of collide in the middle, and that's sort of where your attention goes. I realize at this point that I need a little more black on the page, so I go to the Cartabella embellishments that came with the kit that have a lot of kind of black accents, and I take these brads from there, and there's one that has like a little white heart, and I end that the title Memories with that heart. And then there's two smaller brads that are just plain black, and I lay those across the page to just kind of bring the black around the page, and I start making different embellishment clusters. On the top of my photo, I find these little tags in the die cut set that I believe they say like memories or always remember, something like that. And I put those on the top of the picture and then the background paper back. I use this sharp edge of my scissors to sort of lift up the paper. Since I sewed around the edges, I want it to kind of distress the edges. And so just using my scissor a little bit on each edge helps sort of distress it and make it look a little worn. And I just want it to add some additional texture. So you can see that I always hold up the back of the die cut box where it kind of shows you an inventory of everything that comes with the die cuts, and I use that as a means to sort of look for the pieces I want versus having to sort through them individually. So right now I'm just going through the process of embellishing the layout. I'm doing the voiceover for this layout almost a week after doing the layout, so I apologize if I am a little unsure of what I was doing next. Right now I know I'm looking through all of the Pink Fresh Studios embellishments, and I'm just trying to find a way to add some of the peach color to the layout. I have it sporadically on the layout with those frames, but I know I want to use one of those little banners on the top right hand corner, and then I end up finding that little circular die cut that's going to the right of the M, just to add some additional color. On the bottom of the layout, I've added a few of the die cut pieces from the Joyful Day collection. The first one, that blue one, says Simple Pleasures. And then to the bottom right of it, I added one that says My Heart is Full, and I stapled it twice with a gold staple. And then eventually I'll decide to also put the date down at the bottom. To the left-hand side of the black brads that I used, I just add some enamel dots that came with the collection. That tool I'm using is from Tuesday Morning, and I'm so glad I got it. It's just a very strong, kind of pokey tool, and there's so many layers on this layout, plus hard cardstock in the back. It was extremely strong and didn't bend when I poked it through to put the brads through. I highly recommend getting one if you have a Tuesday Morning by you. So I decide to splatter my layout using Mr. Huey's in Pinstripe and then the Heidi Swapp Gold spray or mist, and it turned out really nice. I think it added a lot of shine and just very nice detail that was necessary for the layout. Well, guys, that's basically it. You're going to see me add the date to the bottom, which was June 8th. That's when this photo was taken. And I'm slowly trying to work through some of the hiccups making these process videos, but I hope you'll stick with me as I improve along the way. It's a big journey trying to get back into it, but I enjoy doing them, and I hope you guys enjoy watching. Talk to you soon.